You did not know the things that pertained to peace. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, vision of peace, vision of peace. The city that never knew what made for its peace. It's true to our day, as you know. But it's also true of our soul. We are our own worst enemy, my friends. The first reading warns us about what can bring us down, and there is nothing new under the sun. Just the names have changed slightly. We have old words like fornication coming in. Today translate something like hard porn. It's all the same thing. And there is the disadvantage in our age that we're actually far closer to it than those of yesteryear. Pope Francis more than once warned, and not just the young people, about this frittering away of life on things of little quality. Listen, because he's got it right on this one, big time. This 88-year-old pontiff appealed for social media to focus on stories of hope rather than divisiveness, so that the beauty of communication is not corrupted. In the Vatican address on this weekend, not long before he died, he said, "Let's put respect for the highest and noblest part of our humanity back in the center of our hearts. Let's avoid filling it with what rots and makes it rot. The choices of each of us count. For example, in expelling that brain rot caused by the addiction to continuous scrolling on social media. Brain rot is a decline in mental state from viewing too much low-quality internet content. Low-quality internet content. Does that ring a bell, if we're honest? My brethren, we have a choice. If we're honest, what do we do as soon as we have a free moment? Do we not start to look at a screen? Now, that doesn't have to happen. With regard to our free moments, they are the ones that indicate something of our truth. Where do our free moments go? Taylor Marshall actually, a while back, came up with this. People, and even people like himself, were not reading books anymore as before. This had taken over, and this is not the same. A good, classical, dense, well-written book is not the same as this cheap stuff which is taking over. Addiction. This is psychological addiction, and it is addiction. The devil wants the soul. He will use anything that works. It can be addiction to anything, as long as it's pulling the soul. Music, smoking, dancing, sport, and all the more pernicious when it becomes more, as it were, on the borderline, when it's actually in itself good, but becomes addictive. And so we have holy addiction too. People who can't stop going from one holy site to another. It's out there. And in the meantime, where is their heart and their soul? It's all hyped up and they can't meet the one they're trying to serve. Take that, by the way, into the religious life and you're in serious trouble. It's only a few years that's come into our life and it's damaging the night hours, the early rise, which is the best part of the 24 hours. And the heart is still, the stomach is empty, nature is quiet, and we can gaze eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball, into Jesus' face and hear him whisper through the sacred scriptures. Put all that sacred time on the other side of the 24 hours, eating into the night, it's rot compared with this, which nothing can compare with. There were two friends years ago. This was in the Brussels area. One of them had hope, the other was not in a good place. But they were both young and into what they might be up to at that age. This one who gave this testimony had this other friend. He was the companion of his dissipation, and he was greatly attached to him. A sudden death! From sudden and unprepared death, deliver us, O Lord. A sudden death put an end to his disorders. His sorrowful companion, after having accompanied him to the grave, had returned home and was alone in his room. He heard moans underground. Frightened at first, not knowing what to do, he ventured at length to ask who it was that he heard moaning. It is I, your companion, whose body you attended to the grave. Alas, my soul is buried in hell. Then, uttering a cry, or rather a dreadful roar, he added, woe to me! The abyss has swallowed me, and the pit has closed its mouth upon me. Quoting that would get a preacher into trouble with the bishop nowadays. It's not PC, is it? You know that the devil has been obliged to admit in exorcism the present conspiracy of silence with regard to hell is his doing. And he added this, the less it's talked about, the more it fills up. And you know, of course, that the majority who were in there didn't believe it existed anyway. Where am I coming to? Compare the other side. Beauty, glory, light, and peace. Yerushalayim, vision of peace. Just yesterday, we had the feast of a new saint, and now co-patron of Europe. Who is it? Anyone know? Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, until her canonization, better known as the philosopher Edith Stein. She and her sister, also a Carmelite, I think a Conversa sister, Rosa, knew they had to go. They tried to get away from it by going from the Carmel of Cologne to Echt in the Netherlands. But when there was a greater persecution again, after the noise that the Archbishop of Utrecht had made against Nazism, they came for them both. And she said to her sister, come, let us go for our people. And yesterday, 1942, they were gassed, with millions of others eventually. But I was present in 1998 at the canonization and reliving it yesterday. Thousands of people there in St. Peter's Square, and the future saint himself, John Paul II, canonizing one of his own. And you know, at that point, the distance between heaven and earth was very, very slim. The suggestion of glory in beauty created, the human voice, the atmosphere of the sacred, one could feel the singing of the angels and the glory of this, our sister, gassed but glorified. And I thought to myself, she used well what she had, and I have the same things as she had. A little time, a body, a mind, the faculties. Which way do I want to go? Mediocrity, a little bit of compromise, which like a worm wriggles away and destroys the whole edifice. You know the old saying, don't you? For instance, a lot of virtue goes up in a little smoke. Think on these things, because that little wriggle of a worm, compromise, can be right there in your pocket. I prefer my comfort zone. I don't really want sanctity. I will have this bit for myself. I will make it, yes, to heaven, but I don't mind doing a little bit of purgatory. The saints, my friends, had a different approach. It can be summed up in the flip side of Cliff Richard's The Young Ones. It was the shadows saying, we say, yeah!
Nostre salutem, discendit